Welcome along, everybody. We are ready for Silver Season 8 then, and here we go then. There are the drivers as we will present them, of course, before we start off the season here. Silver Season 8 then is going to be a long one. It's 24 rounds, and Reflection and Kamara Racer line up in the Williams team then, looking to get big points then here for the Williams outfit. Then, of course, they had a few difficulties last season, both of them as well, namely Kamara Racer. Hopefully he can turn his form around here tonight then. We will wait and season C, then season best of P12 in season 5. Can he do better than that in season 8? R2B then in the Ferrari. I think that's what he wanted in the draw, but he's currently got himself into his favourite seat then. Of course, only 12 starts then after jumping in midway through last season as well. There we've got B. Vessia then in the Ferrari as well, the other Ferrari. 19 starts, of course, promoted last season into silver from bronze after finishing in the top 3 the season before then. 10th place last season, which was very good stuff indeed then from a newly promoted driver as well then. That's very good stuff indeed for Ferrari. Mumford in the Alpine, then he has got 193 points in only 34 starts. Very good stuff indeed. Then, of course, 6th last season in silver. A bit of a bit of a consistent driver, put it that way. But under the radar went Mumford last season, and now looking to charge on then in silver season 8. 300p then is his teammate in the Alpine, lining up then in the other Alpine and Gasly's seat, it looks like, as he is going to be taken to the track then for us in the Alpine then in silver season 8 then. Good stuff indeed then. Had a bit of a difficult season last season in terms of consistency, then hopefully he can turn that around then in this one. Mr. Elite lines up in the McLaren, of course, the veteran of ALR, and looking forward to seeing what he can do then. He has just jumped into the lobby as well. Good stuff indeed then. Mr. Elite is lined up and ready to go then for McLaren. Then can he improve on 11th place in season 6 then? Had a bit of a difficult season last season. Let's see if he can turn it around then. And Kydell is his teammate then for the first time in silver as well. Then, of course, Kydell has been a veteran of the 100% league, and he has jumped into silver, then into the McLaren as well then for this season. Then good stuff indeed. Let's see if he can get those stats up. We will wait and see, of course, but good luck to him as well. Then Riyadh, another driver, then joining the grid then for silver season 8 in the Red Bull. Then Max Verstappen indeed then 30 points then in 6 starts then, of course, as a reserve last season, namely. Let's see what he can do then in a full-time seat in the Red Bull. And his teammate is another new joiner then for the season 8 grid then for silver, and that is Plotters then in the other Red Bull in Sergio Perez's seat. Then, of course, only 7 points and 4 starts then. Can he get his stats up as well then? Both the Red Bulls then are a bit of an untrained rookies then in the Red Bull car, which is not characteristic of Christian Horner's selection, but there we go then. Irvine in the Haas is 193 points in 52 starts. That's actually quite good stuff indeed then from Irvine. He, of course, finished 9th then in season 6 with his best result, then had a bit of a difficult season as well last season in season 7, and let's see what he can do then this season as well. Dopey Lemons then lines up in the other Haas car. He's on 236 points then in 53 starts. Similar starts to Irvine then, but much more points, which is very good stuff indeed. Then, of course, season 6 was his best season as well then in P6 on the drivers' standings. Then Jay Hings, new to the grid then for silver as well. Of course, promoted from bronze last season after a fantastic battle then with Brooksy, who we might see coming up in this driver lineup very soon as well then. Only 2 starts then for Jay Hings as a reserve last season as well then, but let's see what the Aston Martin driver can do then alongside Gordo, who there he is, 423 points and 109 starts in silver. Best finish was 6th in season 3 then. Can he turn that around? Unfortunately, he's not racing tonight then, so he is going to have to turn it around from next week onwards. Good stuff indeed then. But Gordo and Jay Hings lining up then in the Aston Martin. Ultimate Beast then in the Mercedes, 282 points in 44 starts, which is characteristic of Lewis Hamilton. Indeed, very good stuff indeed. Well coordinated then, Ultimate Beast. But looking forward to seeing what he can do then. He's been tipped by some as the favourite then for the championship. We'll have to wait and see. And Kiki lines up alongside Ultimate Beast then. He, of course, was promoted from bronze last season as well as Jay Hings and Brooksy, and he has taken up his seat then next to Ultimate Beast then in the Mercedes car then. Good stuff indeed then. Of course, reserved a couple of times in silver last season, and did a good job as well then. Valtteri Bottas-esque is Nigel then in the State Sauber F1 kick team, whatever it is. But of course, he is a reigning champion then, a previous champion of silver as well. Let's see what he can do here tonight then, as we get ourselves ready for the race itself then. Nigel's teammate is going to be, I think we're going to find out, Pot Stuff there in the other Kick Sauber team, or Kick Sauber car I should say then. 291 points then, 43 starts as well, similar to Toby Levens in Irvine. Very quick characteristics indeed for Pot Stuff in the Kick Sauber. Looking good then for the Green Machines. Into the final team, last but not least, we've got Far, and who can forget him? 639 points then in 96 starts. Then, of course, his best finish was third in Season 7, which was, of course, last season, but he stayed in silver because we didn't need him in gold. I don't want him. So there we go. So that's that then. Fourth then is Yuki Tsunoda then, which is very characteristic indeed as well. Brooksy then lines up the final seat then for the grid. He is, of course, a champion-elect then after he won the bronze season last season and just about got himself ahead of Jay Hings then in the standings in the final race of the season as well then. Looking good indeed then in the absolutely lovely Visa Cash App Racing Bulls then. So there is your grid then for Silver Season 8 then. We have got a fantastic lineup indeed and looking formidable indeed for most of the teams there as well then. Looking great indeed for the start of Silver Season 8 then. Good stuff. And we've got, well, like I said, absolutely formidable lineup then from every team, I think, pretty much. So that is pretty good stuff indeed then. Pretty scary stuff indeed then for all the rivals on your in the garages, I should say. But there we are then. There we go. We got the bronze grid as well for Season 8 then. We, of course, will be taking you through bronze tomorrow night then, or Sean will be taking you through bronze tomorrow night then in the first outing then for the bronze Season 8, that is. So stay tuned for that then tomorrow night then. That is going to be coming up then in the near future. So good stuff indeed then. Not quite sure what is going on then, but there we are. Ultimate Beast has said you, and there we go then. Good stuff. So that is the bronze grid then for the Season 8. Then we'll go on to quickly the 100% League as well. That is, of course, starting not this week then, a week later then for the 100% League, and we will be back very shortly then for that. Then starting off in Australia then in a week's or just over a week's time now as well then. So we'll come back to that one as well then. But if you have missed one division, it is the gold division then, and that is because it raced last night then. So go back and check that out for sure, because it was an absolute cracker of a race indeed then. Good stuff. Right then, I think we are about to get going then. I think we're ready to get going then for the race itself, or the qualifying itself, I should say then. We are into the race, into the lobby, I should say, and we'll get the telemetry sorted and set up as well then. Good stuff. Right then. I think we're live. Fingers crossed we're live now. We need to get the audio sorted as well then, so that is that then. And there we go then, we have got the audio sorted as well then, so now we can hear what is going on these circuits. And yes, there we go. And then Kia then is on the track then, of course, reserving in place. Well, both Hasses, unfortunately, not showing up to the first race of the season. So both of them taking a sabbatical then, maybe in stance with Gunther Steiner then, who, of course, was sacked at the beginning of the season. But there we go then. But Kia then and MHD Nick then are taking the place of Dopey Lemons and Irvine tonight. So they are filling in then in their place. Of course, we've got a couple of other joinees, or newbies, I should say. Then Nameless is back on the grid then after putting in a few reserve appearances last season as well. He is in the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls. I think we're just going to call them the Racing Bulls. And he is, of course, taking the place of Brooksy tonight then. And Kian is in the Aston Martin in place of Gordo, who is, I think, having a bit of a sabbatical, bit of a holiday. So he'll be back then next week. Good stuff indeed. Right then, right then, we've got some more action on track. I think we've got Kamara Racing going through into turn 1, then in the Williams car. Let's see, blimey, they're flying through turn 1 as well here. This is going to be an action-packed qualifying. I think we've only got 15 minutes left of the session. Then as Reflection comes through turn 4 in the Williams car, then hopefully the audio is all right, because I can't really tell. But yeah, fingers crossed it's okay. So good stuff indeed then. MHD Nick then flying through the back straight then down towards the end of Sector 2. Then let's see what the Haas driver can do. I think we've got a few drivers further ahead though, have we? Nope, we have got Kia actually ahead on the medium compact tyres. Is Kia then up to the line to set the first time in Silver Season 8. Then it's a 31.5 for Kia then to set us underway then in qualifying here in Bahrain then for the first race of Silver Season 8. Then round 1 here in Sakir in Bahrain. Then let's see what his teammate of MHD Nick can do as he crosses the line then up into P1, takes away P1, 27.8 then from the Haas drivers, and both the Haas looking strong as it stands then. Mumford starting off a lap here in the first sector. Then let's see who is going to be next to cross the line. I think Kamara Racer might be next to cross the line. Actually comes down the back straight then towards the final turn. And let's see what the Williams can do then. Of course, Kamara then has struggled, he said, at the early stages with the handling model. Let's see what he can do then in this first outing in qualifying. Reflection up into P2, splits the Haas pair. Here comes Kamara up into P2 as well. Then he splits splits his teammate. He takes the front row away from his teammate. Not quite though, because Plotter's in with a 27.9 then into P2. Looking strong then on his first outing, and Kiki promoted from bronze then, a 27.5 then for Kiki is looking good indeed then for the Mercedes driver then. Fantastic stuff indeed then to open up the qualifying so far. Swinging P then up into P5, splits the Williams pair then, P4 and P6 for the Williams respectively. Kydell into P6 at 28.8 then for the McLaren driver, his first appearance here in silver, and looking good so far then. R2B has taken away that place though, P7 now for R2B. Potstuff jumps up to P3. All the times tumbling in here in the first runs of qualifying, and looking good so far out there. Yellow flags fluttering away. I think it's just for cars getting out the way then of other drivers flying through. Then Mumford, where's he gone then? I can't see him. I thought he was there. There he is. We'll come back to him because there he is. He's coming through into the final stretch now then to set his first time on the board. 28.9 then for Mumford on the medium compound tyres though, so he's not looking to set the times alight then just yet in the qualifying session then. But Ultimate Beast then onto pole position as it stands then. Currently pole position, I should say, because there's still time to be beaten on that one. But a 27.549 then currently takes pole position away from his teammate of Kiki. Mercedes are looking strong out here. Smithy said, let's have an epic season silver. Yes, we will. It looks like we will, just based on the first runs in qualifying, to be fair. Fantastic stuff indeed. Then MHD Nick in P3, Potstuff P4, Plotters back in the pit lane, P5, Kamara Racerland looking strong in qualifying as he did last season. Hopefully he can keep the consistency together then in the races as well then, and turn his form around then after a difficult season 7. Maybe season 8 will be his year. We will find out then. Kian then in P8 then, a 28.3 then for the Aston Martin. Bess here then 28.5 in the Ferrari, then R2B down to P11, then Nameless has done a 28.7 on the medium compound tyres. He's currently in P10, which is pretty good stuff indeed then, as he crosses the line then to start off another lap. I think then we'll come back to him because Mr. Elite then is down to P14. Is he on a push lap? I think he might be. No, I don't think he is actually. Yes, he are not good at me. I can't tell. It's too early in the day, too early in the season for me, as Nigel then out onto the track then, his first outing then in season 8 as well then. We have got Ultimate Beast then cruising back to the pit lane, then trying to get himself out of the way of the McLarens and the Ferraris that are flying through. I think they're on the way back to the pits as well, to be fair, so it's not too dangerous then for Ultimate Beast. Then Nameless then going purple in Sector 1 on the medium compound tyres. I'm not sure that's representative of I think it's the same thing as we had last season then, with purple is purple to the driver ahead of you, not to pole position, but we will wait and see what he does when he crosses the line. That's still going to be looking good if he's improving on those medium compound tyres. Then I think there's going to be a couple of drivers then maybe doing 2 out laps here to warm up those tyres to their best ability then to start off their hot laps as well. Then we'll have to wait and see. But McLaren of Mistral is improved, I think, there to P12 ahead of his teammate now into 28.7s then for Mistral, then looking strong at the moment. Then Jay Hings then, of course, a competitor then in the title fight for bronze season 7 last season. He, of course, was promoted then. He was P2 in the standings then, very close all the way to the final race of the season then for Jay Hings and Brooksy. And Jay Hings looking to set his first lap on the board. Then 10 minutes left of the first qualifying of season 8. Then this is going to get exciting, especially towards the last few seconds. We will wait and see how it's going to unfold. Who's going to take pole position then in the first race of the season? So far, so good for Jay Hings. Purple in Sector 2, and that is looking promising then for the Aston Martin driver. Then he is powering his way down the back straight towards the final turn. Then ELRS light flashing away, though. He's already out of battery somewhere, or somehow, I should say, then, as he comes across the final corner then to get up to the line. Then what's his first time in qualifying going to be? It's a 28.328 then for the Aston Martin driver, ahead of his teammate Kian by just over half a tenth of a second as well. Then P8 then for Jay Hings then after his first outing in qualifying. Red Bull then just coming out the pit lane, I think, then getting himself out of the way. Then good stuff from Jay Hings in his first attempt in qualifying of silver, that is. And of course he is looking strong in the Aston Martin, and Mr. Elite is back out on track then to go again then for Mr. Elite, I think. Looking good indeed. Kia is back out on track, on the soft compound tyres this time as well. Nigel is on a lap then in the on the back straight. Then where is Riyadh? Then Riyadh is further back. We'll come back to him then. Nigel then down towards the end of sector 2, then in towards turn 10 and turn 11. Now there's quite a lot of ERS to play with then for Nigel, then it looks like, so maybe he's saving it up then for the final sector. But so far he is he's not pushing, he's cruising around this lap. Then potentially, like I said, doing 2 out laps then on those tyres. No, he's pushing now then. He's really going for it now down the back straight. Look at him go, and flying into the final couple of corners then as the kick Sauber then flies through into the end of the lap. Then let's see what he can do then into the 28.5s then for Nigel, then P11 for the time being then on his first run here in qualifying. Of course, started off the season very well last season then with a fantastic result, a fantastic win. Riyadh unfortunately has invalidated his time, and that's not going to be enough then for Riyadh. Then he's going to have to go back around then and sort out that tyre, I think. Farf though is coming through into sector 3. So watch out, anybody in sector 3. There is the Racing Bulls car then, the first time we've seen it in silver then on the track, and looking good indeed then, car number 5 for the Racing Bulls then for Farf. Good stuff. Evening Axel. Evening, says Serious Mushroom, then good evening to yourself, sir, as well. Then into the final turn then for Farf. Let's see what he can do here in the Racing Bulls car. Then ERS light flashing away, then all the deployers being used on this lap, then up to the line. It's a 28.4 then for Farf, puts himself right in the middle of the pack, then P10 for the Racing Bulls car. Good stuff indeed then on his first outing in qualifying as well. Then Nigel coming back to the pits, and R2B is on a push lap as well. We will see if anybody is further ahead than Kaidel going through into turn 4. And Kia, I think, giving his teammate a bit of a slipstream then down the back straight there. Good stuff indeed. Good teamwork indeed as well then. Riyadh then. Oh dear, Riyadh has validated his time once again then. So unfortunately for Riyadh, he's not having a great time out there in terms of getting himself a lap on the board, is he? A reflection up into P15 and 28.7 then for the Williams car then. Good stuff indeed. I think we're going to see who's that. It's Nigel coming back to the pit lane there. So that is that then. I think MHD has got a nice little toe then from his teammate. Let's see what MHD can do. Can he take away that pole position then from Ultimate Beast? The Mercedes are looking great out here, but MHD then up into pole position then with a 27.4, and that is, what is that, over half a tenth away then from Ultimate Beast then, as Kiki goes even faster into the 27.3s then for the Kiki, I should say. Kiki, do you love me? And there we go. But Kiki then looking great, and great in qualifying pace, that is. Of course, we've only had qualifying in Silver Season 8 so far. Mumford up into P4, that's good stuff indeed from Mumford. They're looking strong then in the Alpine, and of course he is looking to push on then from P6 last season as well. Then Potstuff over the line, then displaces it back down to P5, and Potstuff over to P4 onto the second row of the grid then. Oh, no, he's not been on. He's been knocked down by the other Alpine of Sweet and P then, who's improved to a 27.4 as well. Then fantastic stuff indeed out here from the Alpines, I should say. Fantastic stuff indeed out here from everybody who's put a lap on the board so far. Unfortunately, it's just Riyadh then who needs to get himself a valid lap on the board. But so far, so good then out here as well. Then he is pushing on then. Right then, we've got, well, that was action-packed already then. We've only got a few minutes left of the session, I believe. I can't tell because the thing is in the way there. We've got 5.5 minutes or so left of qualifying here. So still time then for drivers to get themselves back out then on the circuit. Then R2B, I thought he was going to go for a move then, but he's actually just trying to get himself round to start off a lap then. Nameless, I think, is Nameless on a push lap. He might be here. We'll have to wait and see. He's on a set of soft compound tyres. He's 9 tenths faster than his previous lap then. That would put him in the range of, what would that put him in the range of? A 27.8 then. That will put him in the range then of P6 with Mumford, and potentially he's still got a sector to improve as well. Then let's see what Nameless can do then round the final corner. Then ERS on the money then. DRS now activated up to the line. What's it going to be from Nameless? It's P3 at 27.4 as well then from the Red Racing Bulls, from the Racing Bull driver. Fantastic stuff indeed. And I think just letting that Ferrari go through as well then. So Nameless then looking strong in qualifying. Yellow flags fluttering away then. I think it's just for the cars coming out of the pit lane then trying to get themselves out of the way of the drivers flying through as well then. Sweet and Repeat is back in the pits. He's still got time to go back out once again then. Mr. Elite is back out on circuit coming through the hairpin of Sector 2 now. Let's see what the McLaren driver can he improve then on 28.7 and get himself further up the grid. We will wait and see. Equaz has said ALR, then Nigel and Farf struggling, then I had them down as favourite, says Troy. You shouldn't put Farf as a favourite. That's all I can say. But there we go. The Ultimate Beast finally back on form, says Equaz. top three are going to go all at it all season, says Serious Mushroom as well. Then looking strong for, not looking strong then for just the top three, actually, to be fair. It's looking strong for most of the grid at the moment. But so far, so good. Then we've still got some time left in qualifying then for some more times to be tumbling in as well. Then Mr. Elite then round the final quarter. Then he's still got a lot of VRS to play with. I think he's lost the car a bit there on the penultimate quarter. Then he's coming back to the pit lane now to abandon this attempt. Then he's still got time to go back out once again. So it's not all done and dusted just yet then for Mr. Elite. Then R2B then coming round the final corner, almost losing the car. That back end, look at the step out then as he tries to put the power down. Let's see what the Ferrari driver can do. And he unfortunately hasn't improved there by 7,000 of a second. So that then, again, I'm not quite sure if R2B's got enough time to come back around and go again. Then we'll have to wait and see. He's taken a bit of an unconventional route then. But so far, so long as he doesn't do any damage to any other cars or interrupt any other cars, he is A-OK. Riyadh then is looking to get himself his first and I think only time on the board then in qualifying. We'll have a look on board then with the Red Bull car then struggling so far to get a valid lap together then in this opening stages of Season 8 then. Let's see if he can do it this time then. Oh, struggling through turn 4 as well then. That back end stepping out a bit then for the Red Bull car then, looking to get flighty then as we go into Sector 2 now as well then, in towards the hairpin then, flying down into the heavy braking zone, locking up the inside right then and trying to get the power down early again. That back end is not very friendly. Ultimate Beast goes fast there with a 27-1 and I completely missed it because I was watching Riyadh, but I'm sorry, Ultimate Beast, we'll have to come back to you. But of course, we will give him his plaudits, and if he can keep that pole position, we still have 2 minutes left of the session to find out. Then Riyadh then is looking to get himself a time on the board, then into the end of Sector 2, then coming up the hill then towards Sector 3. Let's see what sort of sector time it's going to be as well. They're looking about a 1 minute 6, I think it is, 1 minute 6.1. Then that's looking pretty quick indeed as he comes through the penultimate corner, then keeping it inside track limits this time, which is fantastic to see then, because he needs to get himself a valid lap time on the board then for his first outing in a full-time seat then in silver, around the penultimate corner then into the final turn. Then ERS light flashing away, deployers being used then for Riyadh, then up to the line. It's P10 for the Red Bull car then, a good lap time on his first and only attempt here in qualifying, unfortunately because of the invalid laps then earlier on. Then 1.5 minutes left of qualifying here, and we've still got some action to unfold. So well, I think we're going to have action right to the line there, and I think we're going to have action right to the line in the race as well, based on this qualifying attempt. Then here comes Nigel then up to the line. What's it going to be for Nigel? It's P11 then, a 28.2 then for the Kick Sauber car, and that's I think it's his last attempt here in qualifying. I don't think he's got enough battery then to play with, and the fuel light also flashing away then for the Kick Sauber, unfortunately. So that is I think Nigel done in qualifying here. So there we go. Unfortunate for him then. Reflection. I thought that was Reflection. It's an Alpine then coming through the start-finish straight. Then I think just to start off a lap then. We've got a Kick Sauber having an issue. It's Pot Stuff having an issue then at the penultimate corner. Then what's happened to Pot Stuff? He needs to get going, otherwise he's going to get disqualified here. And I'm not quite sure what is going there for Pot Stuff. Then he's having a few issues out there. I'm not quite sure why he couldn't get himself going a bit earlier than that, but it scared me enough. Ultimate Beast is back in the pit lane then, so Ultimate Beast currently pole position then with a 27.193. He has retired in the pit lane. He is done and dusted here in qualifying, and can he hold on to that pole position? Then he has got almost a 2/10 gap to his teammate of Kiki. Both Mercedes looking very strong in the opening stages of qualifying of Season 8 then, but of course there is still a long way to go. And of course we haven't even started the first round of the season, or the first race of the season that is yet. Qualifying pace is important, but can you do it in the race? I can't, so there you go. So if you watch Gold, then you can find out. Pot Stuff is done and dusted in qualifying, so is Riyadh then, so is R2B then, Reflection, Mr. Elite, Kydell. Unfortunately the McLaren's not having a great opening stage then to Bahrain. Of course we saw that in real life, didn't we? Kira's in the pit lane as well, retiring the Kiki, almost losing the back end in Sector 2. We'll come back to him. MHD Nick then crosses the line. He stays P5 for the Haas team as it stands in. Into the pits comes Nigel as well. Then I think Nigel is done then, so that is qualifying finish then for Kick Sauber. Then here comes a Alpine. It's Mumford up into P6 then, and there's another McLaren. I thought the McLarens were finished. Then they are finished. Good stuff indeed. And another Alpine that's not finished though. I think he is finished now because he's unfortunately invalidated his time then. So that is him done and dusted then. Is Sweet Debris then P3 at best then for him. We've just had Plotters jump up the order then to a 27.2 then in the Red Bull, then splits the Mercedes as it stands. But Kiki is still on a lap here. Let's see what Kiki can do then. Jay Hings is out there as well then. If Jay Hings can improve then into the top 10, yes he can. P9 for Jay Hings in the Aston Martin. Here comes Kiki, but he stays P3. And I think that is that then for qualifying, unless Vessia can do something about it. But Vessia then into the final turn then for Ferrari. This is the last lap then of the first round of the season of qualifying. That is into... That's good stuff indeed. Blimey, what a qualifying. And that was fantastic stuff from Silver then to open up season 8 then. Fantastic. Kia brings up the rear in P20, but last but not least, and we will wait and see what we can do in the race itself. Ultimate Beast back on form then. Where's Brooksy? Brooksy is at work, which is unfortunate because he couldn't take the first race of the season. Evening from Dylan as well. Then Dylan, of course, a promoted driver then from Silver last season then after a fantastic battle, similar to Brooksy and Jay Hings in bronze last season, battling all the way then through the season. Then for the top spot then he was battling Mags. Of course, both of them took to the track then last night then in gold. So go back and watch that one after Silver, of course. Evening from Serious Mushroom as well. Then Mushy with the Equaz with the Mushy comment and the Latifi goat, which is good stuff indeed. Brooksy got work, says Percy as well. Then Brooksy, Locust Percy says that sucks. No, Serious Mushroom said that sucks. But hopefully he'll be back then for Saudi Arabia then in a week's time. Then that is going to be exciting stuff indeed then, and we will get ourselves sorted. We will get ourselves ready then for some action then coming up. Then waiting for the drivers then to get themselves sorted in terms of the strategies, the fuel, and everything else. Then we'll be back very shortly. Right then, let's get cracking, I should say. Let's get started. Let's get cracking then for the first race of Silver Season 8 then. Unfortunately, my ALR shop advert isn't working, so by the way, check out the ALR shop. So there you go. And of course, a fantastic shout out indeed as well to our new sponsors, our new supporters, which is Mind Charity then, of course, an organisation then, a charity then, of course, that is aimed at supporting mental health and any mental health issues, that sort of thing then. And yeah, a great cause. And of course, if you can't spare any pennies, then there is a Just Giving page. All donations go directly to Just Give, or just Giving to Mind through the Just Giving page. None of that comes through ALR at all, so it all goes straight to the charity. But a great cause indeed then, and of course they will be supporting the ALR season this season as well then. Fantastic stuff indeed then from Mind then. So all sorts of goodies then for you ALR fans. Then we have got an extra special season opener here in Bahrain, as Ultimate Beast then flying off the circuit almost. This is going to be an absolute cracker as well in this race, I think. And we've got a completely different compound strategy all over the place, I think. There's soft compound tyres majority then, medium compound tyres for a few, and far from the hard compound tyres. So of course you've got to go to somewhere wrong, somewhere different, somewhere all over the place. Come on, Silver, says Serious Mushroom then. We are ready to get going then for the first race of the season here in Silver. This is going to be an exciting one indeed then, as we get ourselves lined up on the grid then, ready to take the race start. Then medium compound tyres for the pole sitter, Ultimate Beast then, softs for Plotters, for Nameless, for Kiki and for Sweet right behind. That's going to be very dangerous indeed for the Mercedes driver then. He might be very wary of losing out that pole position, or that top spot I should say then, in the first stint. We'll have to wait and see what the strategy is going to be like as well then for these drivers as we get ourselves ready to start off the race as well then. Unfortunately, a few drivers then missing the grid spots. So there we go then. That is classic stuff indeed. But right then, we are... Where is that? Oh God. Where is that Sauber going? I don't know what's going on there. Right, I think we're ready. Are we ready? Yeah. 5 red lights are on here in Bahrain then, and the Silver Season 8 opener is underway here in Sakir, and off we go for the first run down to turn 1. Then it looks like Autobeast trying to cover off Plotters, then in towards turn, it takes the inside, then here comes Kiki down the inside, then Beast then locking up into turn 1. He keeps hold of the lead just ahead of the Red Bull for the time being as we fly through into turn 3. Then Kiki then up into P3, trying to put the pressure on Plotters now down towards turn 4 as well as we go flying through. Everyone's got themselves through unscathed. I think there's somebody having a problem with the background there, but we've got ourselves through into sector 2 safe enough then, I think, as Kiki now under pressure then from Nameless as well then as we go diving down the hill then towards the hairpin of sector 2. Then Kiki down to P4 will get the telemetry up as well. But what a start indeed. Then Nigel's had an issue. Then Nigel's had a problem at the hairpin. Then he's trying to get himself back underway. Then Reflections had an issue as well then. And the Williams car dropping down. Well, he's down to P19. Nigel getting himself back underway now here on the soft compound tyres. Then Ultimate Beast looking to check out in the distance and trying to get himself out of the range of the Red Bull of Plotters. Then in the Red Bull car is flying through on those soft compound tyres. Then Kiki had a great start then, but lost out to Nameless there somewhere in sector 2. And unfortunately for Kiki, then he couldn't get himself a challenge then on the Red Bull either into sector 2 as well. Then yellow flags for Kamara Racer. I think he's had an issue there somewhere in the end of sector 2. Then turn 11 for the Williams cars. Both Williams there having a few issues out there in the opening lap then, as well as Nigel, unfortunately for those drivers. Goodness me, what's up? Farber's dropped down then to P13, has popped them up into P12. Here comes Ultimate Beast, then he's got some pressure then from Plotters. Of course, DRS now activated on lap 2, so they are going to have DRS if they're within 1 second of the car ahead. Then Sweet Beast got himself past MHD. Nick has he trying to go around the outside as the house, then he's trying to hold the position then just about there, but Sweet and P is through to P5 and up into the top 5 now as well. They're good stuff, and they're getting ahead of the medium runners. Yellow flags in the background once again. There's more yellow flags. What is going on here? Potsdam and Far battling way into turn 4. Far from the hard compound tyres. The only driver then on the grid then to start on the hard compound. And he is battling away then with the kicks out, and then Reflection has left the session. And I'm not quite sure where Reflection's off to. He has had an issue somewhere then, and so is Nigel. Then Nigel's got himself back underway. But seems like Nigel's having a few issues out there as well. Then into turn 4, as here we go. Then back onto the battle at the top of the field. Then Plotters then in DRS range. Then Jay Hings, Riyadh and Vessia then battling away. Then as we go onto the back straight as well. Then there's another Aston Martin involved. Then it's Kian up into the top 10 as well here. And around the outside goes Riyadh. Then looking to hold it. Can he hold it? Is the question. And it's great side-by-side action then through sector 2. Then Mr. Elite's got himself past his teammate of Kynel, then up into P15 now for the other McLaren. And Reflection is back in the session. Then unfortunately Reflection, not quite sure what happened to the Williams car, but had an issue somewhere there. There is your possible race strategy: soft, hard, soft, medium, hard. Blimey, there's too many combinations up there. Kian has left possession now, so that is good news. Hopefully he can get himself back in just as quick as Reflection did as well. Then here comes Plotters on the charge then for the race lead. Then can he take it away then from Ultimate Beast? Yellow flag then for Nigel then, who is where has he gone? He's parked off the circuit then, is Nigel, and not having a great time then trying to get himself back underway. Then he's got himself back on the circuit, I think, here. Yes, he is. He's back underway, thankfully. But Plotters then is now under pressure then from Nameless into a turn 4. Then not quite then for the Racing Bulls car. Then he stays P3. Kiki trying to hold on at this stage, but he's doing a good job then for his first run then in silver. Of course, promoted then from bronze last season then. Good stuff indeed. soft compound tyres then for the majority of the field. Then we're on to lap 3 already. Then we're flying through. Kian and R2 beat. Then of course, I forgot Kian is not in the car then. But Kian hopefully can get himself back into the lobby quickly enough, and can get himself back in the racing seat then as quickly enough as well. Then Favre then he's on the hard compound tyres. We'll have a look at the position changes actually, because Favre then has gained a place actually, even on the hard compound tyres, so that is good stuff indeed then for Favre. He might gain another place then on the ghost car of Kian as well, which is fantastic news indeed. Unfortunately, we're not fans of Favre. We want Favre then to we want Favre to do well, but we don't want him to do too well. So there we go. Right then, I think we might see a change for the race lead very soon as well as we go into the final turn then of lap 3 onto lap 4 very shortly as well. Then good stuff indeed so far from the top of the field. Then they're all very close indeed to Vessia. Then up 5 places. Then he's lost out to the top 7 train as it stands. Then ultimately he's trying to get himself out of the range. And as Kian is back in the car. Well, back in the lobby, I should say. Then R2B sets the fastest lap of the race then. Great stuff indeed then from the Ferrari driver. He is really powering on then. Is R2B trying to get himself in contention for the points pair positions. Then Favre from Mr. Elite switching places. Then Favre has been passed by the McLaren into turn 1 now. And McLaren now ahead of the Racing Bull. He seems to be struggling then. Oh dear, oh my goodness me. I'm not quite sure what is going on there. Mr. Elite was struggling out of turn 2 and 3. And that has conceded the place back to Favre then into P13. For the Racing Bulls driver. Good stuff indeed then. R2B is really powering on though. They've got a 2.8 second gap over Favre. As it stands, there is the Ferrari then in the background. Then is the Racing Bulls car as we fly through into sector 2 now. Out in front. Oh my goodness me, out in front then it looks like all action then as here comes Plottis then with some DRS, with some ERS potentially as well, then trying to get himself into the race lead, but not quite. He stays behind. He doesn't want to do that just yet. He's going to think about the long game, I think then is the Red Bull driver. Good stuff indeed as well. Then DRS lights flashing away then for all the drivers it looks like out there as well, as Mr. Elite has had an issue somewhere. He's lost out to his teammate then. Reflection has left the session again then. So unfortunately for Reflection, he's having a few issues out there. There's Kamara Racers having an issue out there as well. Then he is off the circuit. Then he's in the wall, I think, there as well. Where is he? There he is. But he hasn't. Yes, he has. He's lost both end plates somehow as well on that Williams car. That is very bad news indeed. Then for Kamara Racer, he's going to have to come into the pit lane and sort that out. Then Nigel then is struggling on out there as well. Then into the lead goes Plotters, and he takes the lead away from the Mercedes driver from Ultimate Beast. Then as here comes Nameless down the inside as well. Then on the Mercedes, can he hold that position? Not quite. Then Beast holds on to P2 and can challenge Plotters back for the race lead. Then in towards turn 4, he's going to go for it. Then with some ERS and some DRS as well. Then he's back into the lead. He takes back the lead calmly as you like. Then he's back into the race lead where he was comfortably controlling the pace then after setting that pole position as well then. So good stuff indeed, and looking strong out there then. The top 3 trying to pull away then. Of course Keychains is trying to stay with them. So is 300p, then so is MHD Nick, and so is Mumford. Then they've dropped Riyadh now as the pack is starting to spread out slightly here. Only on lap 5 then. I don't think I'm going to be able to keep up then until the end of lap 29. But so far so good then. Riyadh then trying to get himself back into DRS range of the travelling pack ahead of him. As we go on to the end of lap 5 now as well. Then Jay Hings is down 1 place, but he's still in the top 10 for the time being. Then of course he's on medium compound tyres as well. There's a lot of drivers around him on soft compound tyres. So we would expect them to, of course, pit a bit earlier. We will wait and see. Then Favre's dropped down then to P15 as Mr. Elite and Favre battling side by side through sector 2. Then Potstaff's been passed by R2B, then into P11 now for the Ferrari. Yellow flag again then for Nigel. I think Nigel's having an issue coming out the pit lane there, unless he was just going slowly out the pit lane. Reflection has joined back again then, but Reflection really struggling out there with, oh dear, as Nigel's gone for a spin. And Reflection really struggling out there, as I said, with connection issues it looks like there. So hopefully he can get that sorted and back underway then into turn 1 this time. Oh dear, he's gone deep then as Ultimate Beast then, and could open the door then to the Red Bull of Plotters then for another attack then down towards turn 4. This time, oh God. This time Plotters has got the inside of turn 4 then. Can he go for the move then? Ultimate Beast breaks very early, then trying to go for a switcheroo underneath then at turn 4, but not quite then. The soft compound tyre is still holding on just about enough then for the Red Bull driver to take the race lead here on lap 6. And there is Nigel's car, unfortunately, right in front of us there as well, which is terrible news then for Nigel. He's almost going to be lapped then as Ultimate Beast is under pressure then from Nameless as we go down into the hairpin, and Nameless has got himself ahead now of the Mercedes then into... Oh, as we're going to go for a dive down the inside, it's going to be close indeed. And just about enough room left then by the Mercedes and the Racing Bull driver then to get themselves through unscathed there as well. But Nameless then putting the pressure on as well. Then they're trying to drop the top four as Keychains had an issue somewhere. Where's Kiki gone? Kiki's dropped down the field, then Kiki's had an issue somewhere because he's dropped down to P12. And I completely missed it then, but they've got a gap now, a sizable gap indeed as well then to Mumford, which is going to be very good stuff indeed. Well, very good news for the top four, that is, but not good news then for the rest of the field, as unfortunately we didn't see what happened to Kiki. Then he's struggling out there on those soft compound tyres. Now Kydell all over the back of the Mercedes as well. Then Kiki's really having a bad time out there. I think he might have overheated the tyres if he spun, and that is going to be putting the tyre temperatures through the roof, isn't it, of course. Kian is back in the car, then Sweet MP is in the pit lane, so Sweet MP calling it early on those soft compound tyres, back in the pit lane, into the pit, I should say, for the first time. Then as Plotters takes back the race lead. Where is he? There he is. Back into P1 now for the Red Bull. And remember, where have we seen this before? Red Bull and Mercedes fighting away then for the race lead. There's a Racing Bull in there as well, but there we go. But that's uncharacteristic. But then we've got a Red Bull then and a Mercedes, and Nameless is off the circuit then. Nameless at turn 4 then, putting the power down too early, and there's another incident then. What's happened there between Vessia and Riyadh, I think it is. The Red Bull and the Ferrari off the circuit there as Faf goes through. And Vessia dropping down, not Vessia, Riyadh and dropping down, unfortunately out of the points positions as it stands as well. Then those two drivers then I think having two incidents at the same time, as we saw. Oh my goodness me, Vessia they're not leaving much room for Mr. Elite either then, as we go into the hairpin at turn 7, then turn 8 I think it is, turn 9. Goodness me, I've lost all my turns because I've been mesmerised by this race, and it's been fantastic in the opening stages of the race. Plotters then and MHD Nick are chasing down Ultimate Beast then. The top three have pulled away then from Mumford as it stands. We'll switch onto the tyre compounds to see what's going on then in terms of strategy, as we've got Sweet MP then into the pits then for a fresh set of soft compound tyres. Same for Kiki as well then. So those two have pitted. Of course, Kiki had a spin. We did see that earlier on. We didn't see it earlier on actually, but we saw him having dropped down the field quite substantially then as well then into lap 8 now as well. Then we're flying through. Reflection has retired. I think he's on the circuit then in Reflection, so that is, well, I'm not quite sure what happened to Reflection there. Riyadh has got a 3-second penalty then for multiple warnings, and into the pits comes Vessia as well then. Yellow flags fluttering away then. I think it's for Reflection's car, but hopefully it gets sorted and moved out of the way. But not quite sure what is going on there as well then for Reflection. He seemed to be having a few technical difficulties out there as well then. Did Reflection in the very early stages of this race, which is a big shame indeed then. Vessia then is into the pits. He's onto a fresh set of medium compound tyres then for Ferrari. Let's see how that's going to fare then in this race for him. Where is he going to come out? He's going to come out ahead of Kia in the Haas then. He is currently just trundling out the pit lane. 10-second time penalty for Nigel for extending track limits then. That can be removed then, of course, if it is unfair. But he is, I think, a lap down now as well then, as Nigel's also retired on track as well. So I'm not quite sure what is going on for Silver. They seem to have forgotten that he can't retire on track. But there we go. Hopefully it doesn't cause any problems. Because that could be more problem, even more so for other drivers as well then. But so far, unfortunately, two drivers then have decided just to give up then. Unfortunately for Reflection, I think it was because of technical difficulties. Then the internet connection was not too friendly for him in this opening first few laps then. But Nigel then having that spin and spinning again then, unfortunately not going his way in the opening race of the season. But it is going the way of Ultimate Beast as it stands. And those medium compound tyres now I think will be favourable compared to the soft compound, as we fly down towards the towards turn 1, then onto lap 9 here. 20 laps remain at the end of this one. There's still plenty of racing to come. As Serious Roger said, this game brings your car out even if you retire in the pits, says Marshall. I'm not quite sure what's happening there. One stop is doable, says Dylan, depending on the tyre management. And of course, he's done a good job there last night. So he's got himself into the points positions then in gold, which is very good stuff indeed, especially of course as he just jumped up to the grid as well then from silver, and very good stuff indeed then from Dylan then, putting on a fantastic performance last night in gold. So good stuff indeed. Good luck, Silver, says evening all from Rocket Lizo as well, who of course will be taken to the track tomorrow night then. Vessia then is out behind Riyadh then. Both these drivers had a spin at turn 4 only a few laps ago then, but they are still in contention with each other once again I should say, as we go on to lap 9 as well here. The Ferrari right behind the Red Bull this time as we fly through then. Kamara Racer is struggling on then. He has got himself back up the order then. I think he's not too far away then. Oh dear, as I said, that was cursed him, but he's not too far away then if he can just keep the pace up then, keep the consistency consistency. Of course, he's still got those hard compound tyres on, so he's going to be a bit more in the favour, I suppose you could say. Then later on in this race, as we've got another problem then for a McLaren. What's happened to the McLaren? I think it might have been Mr. Elite then. He's got himself back underway very quickly indeed. But we didn't see exactly what happened. Then the yellow flags were fluttering. Then Plotters is into the pit lane. Yes, he is. He's calling it a day on those soft compound tyres as well. So there we go. End of lap 9 then for the Red Bull. Anybody else going to follow these pot stuff? Sorry, I should say. He's back in the pit lane as well. Then same strategy call then from the pit Sauber driver. He is calling it a day on those softs, as well as Kydell, who is into the box then for a new set of soft compound tyres. So he's going to go soft then for the McLaren. He's really into the points pen positions now. Good stuff indeed. 300p then back into the points then ahead of Plotters now. Those soft compound tyres, of course, he has used. Oh my goodness, as I said that, Mr. Elite, I've cursed Mr. Elite as well. I'm so sorry. He has had a spin then at turn 1, and that has cost him a points pen position as it stands then. But of course, he's got himself back underway then very quickly once again then has Mr. Elite then. So good stuff indeed. Then Kiki trying to get himself past Pot Stuff here into turn 4. Got the inside from Mercedes. He's up into P12 then just about, I think. Yes, he is. He's got himself past Pot Stuff then up into P12 then, of course, looking to change up the strategy a bit then compared to his rivals as well. Then he's done 3 laps on the soft compound tyres already compared to Pot Stuff, who's just come out of the pit lane, same with Kydell in the McLaren as well then. So there's a few strategy calls then out there that are going to be all over the place until the checkered flag. I think we'll have to wait and see until the final checkered flag, or into the final lap, I should say, then what strategy is going to be the best out here, but we don't even know. So I don't even know. So there you go then. If you do know, enlighten me in the comment section, would you? Because I am lost already. Then here comes Ultimate Beast. Then he's into the pit lane. Then a very late call then from Mercedes into the box then for the pole sitter. Then Mumford and MHD carry on. Then let's see what's going to happen. Well, Jay Hing carries on. He's done 10 laps then on those medium compound tyres. Nameless carries on with the soft compound tyres. Reflection has joined back then, and I'm not quite sure. Reflection has joined back then, but his car has retired on the track, so I'm not quite sure what happened there, unless it was a glitch that somehow retired him. Sweet MDP is going to jump ahead of the previous race leader, the pole sitter then of Ultimate Beast then, and here comes Plotters as well then in towards turn 1. Can he put the challenge on then the former race leader then, the pole sitter then, as well as he comes through turns 2 and 3 then? He's going to have much warmer tyres than Ultimate Beast then, but in towards turn 4, I think he might be a bit too far back to challenge as we go into the end of sector 1 now. And Ultimate Beast then trying to get those tyres warmed up as quickly as possible then, because he knows that Red Bull is on the charge. Potstuff has got himself past R2B. R2B is on the hard compound tyres then. Can he go to the end of the Grand Prix from here? Reflection has left the session again then. I think that was because he realised that his car wasn't in the session this time, and thanks not to any lag this time as well then. Kiki now putting pressure on the Ferrari then into the hairpin. Can he get himself through? Then he's dived down the inside. Then he's going to go side by side over the crest of the hill, then down towards the dreaded left-hander. And oh my goodness me, is R2B then flying off the circuit as well then? Goodness gracious me. But I think he's got himself sorted and back underway. Good stuff indeed. Right, I think we've got a combination then of 2 stops and 1 stops out here as well then. I think the top 3 are going to carry on and try and do a 1 stop here. Yellow flags for a Haas. Yellow flags for a Haas. It's Kia, I think, then into sector 2. He's got himself back underway quickly enough as well then. Good stuff indeed then. Mumford into the pit lane. Mumford is calling it there on medium compound tyres already. And let's see what he's going to do next then. It's hard compound tyres going on that Alpine. And there we go then, I think underway then. I think that's confirming a one stop strategy then for the Alpine driver as well then. Good stuff indeed. Those McLarens are rapid then, says Serious Russian then. Hard should make it to the end, says Dylan as well then. Good stuff. We've got somebody who knows what's going on out in this one as well. Good stuff indeed. Thank you, Dylan. Plotters has got himself past Ultimate Beast then, but he's fighting back then, and he's got himself back into P6 and back into the net race lead, I believe. Because, of course, we think the hard compound tyres can go to the end then. Of course, 3 of the people will have to pit again, and the top 4 have yet to pit. So this is the net race lead then. These 2 here. Mumford then is currently in a net P3, I would imagine, which is looking good indeed. But Potstuff then chasing him down on the soft compound tyres as well then. We're still to find out which is going to be the best strategy here. Of course, the hard compound tyres are going to be very old, very worn at the end. Then if you've got fresher tyres, then doing a 2-stop, you might be able to get yourself back ahead. We will have to wait and see then at the end of lap 29. And goodness gracious me. Exciting times indeed. Fantastic opening then to Season 8 of Silver as well then. So far so good then for the Mercedes drivers as well then. Hopefully keeping himself back in this race then, of course, after that spin there, that costly error, which really hasn't helped him because he was challenging then for the top 5 in this race. And as at the first stint then, Kydell then and Kian are battling away now in towards Sector 3. Then into the pits comes the net race leader, not net race leader, the race leader, MHD Nick then, and Jay Hings. Soft compound tyres of Nameless is carrying on out here. Blimey, what a stint indeed then for the Racing Bull driver. Then he is flying on both the Racing Bulls now, P1 and P2 as it stands as well. Then Sweet He's got himself under P3, then Ultimate Beast, then P4. But he's under pressure now from Plotters, then in towards turn 1 once again. Then he holds on to the lead this time as the Mercedes then tries to charge on, then tries to get himself into the range then of the Alpine ahead on the soft compound tyres. Can he get himself into that 1 second window to use the DRS to protect himself from the Red Bull? But not quite then. He's still 1 point, he's still 4 tenths away then. MHD Nick then coming out the pit lane on the hard compound tyres, then he's battling away with Potson up here as almost goodness me, there's going to be squeezing each other then as well, then into the S's section as well. Then Mumford is in play here as well. And we go towards the hairpin as well, down the inside for the Alpine driver. Then can he hold it? IRT Kia has got a penalty then as Mumford, not Mumford, sorry, MXD has got himself out of the hairpin quicker enough to hold on to a P7 for the time being. And good stuff indeed. Then lap 13 underway, and of course pit stop strategies are unfolding in front of our very eyes. Outfolding, I don't know what the word is. Here we go then. Will we see, the question is, when will we see a Racing Bull car come in the pit lane? I don't think they've realised that they have to make a pit stop in this race. Nameless hasn't as well, especially on those soft compound tyres, but he is pushing on then. Is he going to go another lap then? No, he's going to come in the pit lane this time now. So good stuff indeed then from Nameless. He has finally called it a day then on the soft compound tyres. 13 laps then on the soft compound tyres is a pretty good stint indeed. Now takes the race lead, which is terrible news because we don't want to talk about that. Then Ultimate Beast then has claimed himself back P2. Plotters then stays with him in P3. Then we've had another pit stop then for Sweet MGP, who's back in the pit lane. He only did a few laps on the soft compound tyres, not as many as Nameless of course, but he's into the box nonetheless. Then onto the hard compound tyre now for the Alpine driver. Then let's see where he's going to come out then. He's going to come out down in P15 there, but of course he's going to be on the fresher tyres. Nameless also on the hard compound tyres. He's going to be on very much fresher tyres than Ultimate Beast then, and Plotters as well. Yellow flag then for a Williams car. Then it's Kamara Racer then at the penultimate corner as well, or final corner I should say. He's had another issue then, has the Williams car then trying to get himself back underway now, and he has done as well thankfully. But again, front wing damage then for Kamara Racer then as he enters back into the pit lane now. Very slowly. But he has got himself back in the pit lane, which is good stuff. Right then, let's see what's going on. Kia's all over the... Where has Kia gone? He's gone off completely at turn 13. That is not the circuit, sir. You need to get yourself back onto the grey stuff. There we go then. Here comes Farf. Then he is currently the race leader then, but he has not stopped then. Ultimate Beast is only 3 seconds away. And the former race leader, the pole sitter then, is on the charge then. He's got Plotters then in close company, I should say. Potentially lining up a move then for the race lead and potentially for the race win as well. Then we'll have to wait and see. Jay Hings has got a 3-second penalty. That is bad news for the Aston Martin. Then he's trying to chase down his teammate then of Kian, who is back in the car and back underway then, back into the points positions as well then for the Aston Martin. Then we've got Kyle for company now, has Jay Hings on those. Oh my goodness me, I thought Kyle almost lost the car then, just like Kamara as well. Then Mr. Elite's got a 3-second penalty as well. Then the penalty starting to rack up around here as well. Kiki back in the pit lane. 1-2. Hard compound tyres for Kiki then. He's back underway. I think that's his last stop then of this race. Then where will he come out then in respect to his arrivals? Then the Sweet MGP then is going to be trundling through. Mr. Elite is onto the main straight as well now, and let's see what Mr. Elite can do. Of course there's plenty of drivers still to stop. Once again then Kiki coming out the pit lane. Can he get himself ahead of the McLaren then? Oh my goodness me, Kiki then trying to get himself out of the pit lane and nearly spinning the car on the exit then, as Mr. Elite then is going to go for an up and under in towards turn 1 and 2. Then he's all over the back now of the Mercedes then, almost losing the traction then as well, going through turn 3, and it looks like both drivers then struggling to get themselves back not underway then, as in comes Mr. Elite. I thought he was going to go for a dive down the inside at turn 4, but not quite then, as he tries to get himself past that Mercedes as quickly as possible then. Ultimate Beast now only 1.6 seconds behind Farf then. Farf, of course, yet to pit in this race, is still travelling about then on the hard compound tyres that he started the race on as well. As here comes Ultimate Beast then onto the back straight, then only 4/10 away, then 3/10 away then from the race leader of Farf as it stands then, but he's not going to be within DRS range, I don't think, as we go on to the start-finish straight to start off lap 16 of 29 here. Goodness me. So, right then, Ultimate Beast is actually within DRS range now of Farf, but again, no DRS available down the back straight. Potstaff into the pit lane, so Potstaff only run 6 laps on those soft compound tyres, which is very odd indeed then. What's he going to go on to next then? Can the leaders get to the end of the race from here? It will be a bit of a stretch then, we'll have to wait and see then. Kaido up into P9 then. Of course, like I said, there's going to be plenty of pot stuffs, plenty of pit stops left as Farf and Ultimate Beast then are battling away then for the race lead then, and Beast has got himself up into the race lead then ahead of Farf into turn 4 then, and we've had some yellow flags fluttering about. I'm not quite sure who they were for, but they have got themselves sorted, whoever that was now, thankfully, as I think Plotters then into the back of Farf then. Those old hard compound tyres are not going to be very friendly then for Farf on the Racing Bulls car then, and Plotters is going to be very keen to get himself past. Yellow flag for Mercedes. It's for Kiki. Kiki's had another issue then at turn 3, and unfortunately for Kiki, his fantastic qualifying is falling to pieces in this race. As it stands, then hopefully he can get himself back underway, then back in this one as well. Farf has dropped out of the DRS range then of Plotters then. This is going to be great news for Ultimate Beast, and he's now got himself over a 1 second gap to his rivals as well. And of course Plotters is going to have some DRS, I think, to get himself past into the onto the main straight, I should say then. But here comes the Red Bull, then here comes the Racing Bull as we go down towards the penultimate turn then. And the Red Bull is back ahead already then as we go through the final turn, and Farf decides to drive into the back of him then. Fantastic stuff indeed from Farf. Wonderful. As I think there's another Haas off the circuit again then. I think it's Kia then struggling out there. DRS lights flashing away then for both the Bulls. Kia's got a 10-second time penalty then for extending track limits. Then unfortunately that is not good news then for the Haas driver. Then of course that can be looked at after the race then if you've got your race director. Ultimately it's got himself past the Aston Martins, has he? Or has he passed the Aston Martins, I should say. Then they're ganging up on him here into turn 1 and 2. Here comes Kia, and then he's got the inside at turn 2. He's got himself ahead there at turn 3, and he's up into P6 now is Kia, and then good stuff indeed. Kia has retired in the pit lane. That is him done and dusted in qualifying, not in qualifying, in the race. There we go then. As RTB is struggling under pressure now from Jay Hings as well. Then here comes the other Aston Martin. He's got himself through, has Jay Hings, and the Ferrari has to concede then to both the Aston Martins then into Sector 1 and Sector 2 now as well. Then good stuff indeed. Then all three of them doing a good job in terms of racing cleanly as well, and fairly as well. They've got Riyadh then in P9, Nameless in P10, and Kaidel in P11. They're all trying to join up into this queue as well. As it's going to get very tasty indeed, I think then. Nameless is on the fresher tyres of the lot. But will he be able to get himself through the trade is the question. Unfortunately, we've had 3 retirements already in this season, and it's been very early on indeed as well. Then the yellow flags fluttering away, but they have gone away now as well. Ultimate Beast then has got himself a 1.4 second gap then over Plotters then. As it stands then, Farf is trying to hold on to some DRS. Then Kaidel's picked up a penalty as well. Then unfortunately for Kaidel, that's going to be costly indeed. As we go down towards the penultimate turn then for Nameless as well. Then putting the pressure on Riyadh as well then for that P9 position. And I think he wants to get himself into that P9 position as quickly as possible. Then Kaidel stays out, and he's still going. Then is Kaidel in the McLaren. I think he has to stop again. Then we'll have to wait and see when that is going to be or what that's going to be. Of course, we have got a few stops still to come, I think, especially for Farf, who hasn't pitted at all. So, unfortunately he is at the moment in a fantastic qualifying, but it's not going his way in the race so far. Farf going to be doing lap 20 then, and Softs, what a gamble then, says Serious Mushroom. Then that is the strategy potentially then from Farf, who is now under pressure from MHD Nick as well. Then Mumford coming with him in that fight for the podium places as well then for Mumford. Great stuff indeed. Then Jay Hings then is doing a good job. Then he's in P7 then chasing down his teammate then on much fresher hard compound tyres as well. Then this is looking good then for Jay Hings as it stands as well. Then Nameless of course is on the freshest hard compound tyres in the top 10, and he is going to be trying to charge through as well. Then there's penalties starting to rack up then for a few drivers. We'll have a look at the penalty situation now quickly. 3 seconds for Jay Hings, 3 for Riyadh, 3 for Kaidel, and 3 for Mr. Elite. Then both McLarens unfortunately with penalties out there as it stands. Farf is hanging on for a safety car, says Dylan. So there we are then. We've got yellow flags. It's yellow flags then for I think it might have been for Kaidel actually. Yeah, Kaidel's had an issue then in Sector 2. And that has been very costly indeed then for the McLaren. He's lost out to the top 10 in terms of, oh dear, I think those soft compound tyres are done, sir, as Favre has been passed then by MHD. Now here comes Mumford as well on the attack in towards turn 1. He's got himself ahead then of the Racing Bull. And up into P4 now for Mumford. Good stuff indeed then. Favre dropping down to P5 then. He's going to have some DRS then to put himself along then, as we've got all sorts of action here. What's going on here between the Aston Martins as well? Then there's a Ferrari involved. Then here comes Jay Hings then up into P6. He's got the position, has he? Ahead of his teammate then, who's got the DRS then down towards turn 4. Jay Hings has got himself into P6. Then Kian covering off the Ferrari into turn 4. And the Ferrari goes down the inside then. A nicely new branded HP Ferrari as well. I should have said that very early on. But RTB then back in front of one of the Aston Martins then and chasing down Jay Hings then. Maybe went through a phase then as well, a tyre phase I should say. And got himself back into the window now for R2B. Good stuff indeed. Kaidel's pit then for a fresh set of medium compound tyres and back underway as we go through into the middle part of the lap. Then lap 19, then 9 laps remain at the end of this one. 2 seconds the gap for Ultimate Beast, then 2 plotters. Then unfortunately for plotters then, after not getting past Favre at the wrong part of the circuit, then that's cost him dearly indeed. And now he's in a bit of no man's land. 2 seconds the gap between the race leader and P2 and P3 as it stands. But there we go then. Unfortunately, we've got Favre in the middle of the pack then, trying to get himself round the circuit. Then for some reason, he's decided not to pit just yet. But he will have to pit at some point in this race. And yeah, here he is finally. Then there it is for Favre. Then into the pit lane now, and slowing that car down just in time then to not get any penalties then for speeding in the pit lane. Good stuff indeed. Mumford got himself past MHD Nick, then into the podium places. Has he got the move though? Has he got the move then for the Alpine? MHD's got a 3-second penalty. Mumford loses the car on the traction and MHD is back through, but that 3-second penalty is costly indeed, as that is going to be very welcome then from Mumford in that point of view. Favre's in the pit lane, then yellow flags again then for it's for Potstuff. Potstuff's had another issue. He's back underway. Favre has come out of the pit lane and behind Vessier now. Vessier up into P11. I think Vessier might have to pit again then because the Ferrari then has done 12 laps on his on his medium compound tyres. Here comes Favre on the charge then in towards turn 3. He's going to go for a dive bomb then down towards turn 4. Yes, he is up into P11 now. Kian has got himself been passed by Nameless, and Nameless now up into P7. Is he? Because Kian down the inside there. And getting his elbows out as well. Then Kian then stays P7 for the time being, but Nameless is going to fight back here down the back straight, down the middle straight I should say, then up into P7 now for Nameless. Those fresher hard compound tyres helping him out then on the traction as well. Then R2B then is trying to hold on to Jay Hings. Jay Hings is looking strong out here in his first outing. Then it looked like in qualifying it was going to go Kiki's way then, of course a bronze promotee, but it's Jay Hings then who is leading the charge then for the bronze promotees now in the final stages of this Grand Prix. Fantastic stuff indeed. Then out in front then Beast, 2.7 seconds the gap then between himself and his former rival in this race of Plotters. Then he is really charging on then is the Mercedes driver, then looking strong out there then for Beast at this stage of the race. And unfortunately Plotters then he just can't. I think he's having a bit of a calm patch then in this race then after battling tooth and nail then with Beast after that altercation I should say with Favre, who of course was on the older tyres. Then as Kira's left the session, then he's out of the race already. As Vessier is in the pit lane now. Vessier then off the medium compound tyres and potentially on the soft compound tyres to the end of the Grand Prix. Once Plotters then got stuck behind Favre for just a bit too long in sector 2 and 3, that opened the door then for Ultimate Beast to just scamper away then and hold on to this race lead, or claim back the race lead then as Mr. Elite then once again struggling out of turn 2 and 3 then, but he's got himself past Potstuff now into P12. Here he comes then in towards turn 4. Can the kick Sauber fight back? But not quite in for Potstuff. He stays behind. Equaz said Kamara, great one lap pace, needs some consistency, says Equaz. Unfortunately for Kamara then, yeah, it looked good in the opening stages of qualifying there, and again I think just struggling with the setup then for this new game. Of course there's a few drivers I think out there that are going to be struggling, especially for the early stages then, but hopefully they can get themselves back underway then, back to their usual form in the next week or two. But we will have to wait and see then. Favre of course on the soft compound tyres now, trying to get himself back into the points pen position. He's got a suite of people right in front of him, but he's got quite a bit of a way then to get himself into the order then for the rest of the field then, who are flying through then in a bit of a DRS train then behind Jay Hings here as we go on to the start-finish straight to start off lap 22. Then only, what is that, 8 laps to go? Here comes R2B then on the attack, then down the inside in towards turn 1. Jay Hings later on the brakes then as we go through turn 1 then. The Ferrari then doing a great job. Oh my god, he lost the car then, leaving room then, I was saying. But oh my god, it's me, Nameless, then just shoving people out of the way then as he goes down towards turn 4. And blimey, there was no love lost there. And then for Nameless, he was getting his elbows out regardless of who it was there. And goodness me, then the racing bull then literally racing like a bull and getting himself up into P5 there. R2B then into P6, stays P6. Jay Hings has lost out to his teammate as well then, Kian, and Riyadh then is in close proximity as well then. Of course, Riyadh and Jay Hings both have penalties. They'll be added onto their race time at the end of the Grand Prix then. Of course, Jay Hings can hold on to P8 as it stands. Barber's got himself a bit of a sizable gap to try and catch up. He is on fresh soft compound tyres. Mr. Elite's had an issue at turn 4, and Mr. Elite has dropped down the field then. Unfortunately, Mr. Elite then struggling out there. Potentially could go for the soft compound tyres in the next few laps or so and go for a fastest lap rate of the fastest lap of the race, I should say. I'm not quite sure. I got put off by him going all over the place. But he's got himself back on the way. Vessia then is back on the soft compound tyres. Then he's going to be motoring along very quickly indeed on those soft compound tyres as well. Then Kamara Racer is still soldiering on out there as well. Fair play to Kamara Racer for keeping going in this race. Then that is a fantastic credit to Kamara Racer then for being a soldier out there and struggling on. Then even though it's not going his way in this opening race of the season, there's still a long way to go in the season. So anything can happen. Then Mumford then is looking to line up a podium place here as well. Then Father's got the fastest lap of the race. That is bad news indeed, because that will make the point for Favre. No, I shouldn't say that. It's good news indeed for Favre, but bad news indeed for everyone else. But especially me, because I don't want Favre to do well. There we go. Right then, Mumford then on the charge. Then he's technically in the podium places already then, with MHD picking up a 3-second penalty. So that is good news, I suppose, in the Alpine's eyes. This battle is still raging on them between P5, they're down to P9. These 5 drivers then are really going hammer and tongs then for that P5 position, aren't they? R2B is doing a good job then, but here comes Kian then trying to get himself back up into P6 for the time being. Not quite then in towards turn 10 then, flying down the back straight or middle straight then towards turn 11 as well now. But so far so good. Then these drivers have been putting on a great show actually in the last few laps or so. Absolutely brilliant stuff indeed. When the race lead then has calmed down, these drivers have picked it up then and tried to put the entertainment on the screens then for the viewers then of ALR Silver Season 8 then, the opening round of Season 8 as well. Then this is absolutely fantastic. This race has been so far so good. Then lap 24 of 29. Only a few laps remain here in this first race of the season. Let's see who's going to claim the unless there's any problems for Ultimate Beast, I think we know who's going to claim in the race win. But we've actually, what's happened here then, because Plotters is starting to struggle then. MHD Nick is in DRS range then of the Red Bull. Then Plotters is having a few issues out there, and this could be enticing indeed then for the Haas driver, for the Alpine driver of Mumford then, potentially to get himself into P2 in this race. I think Nameless is a bit too far back. Plotters starting to struggle is a big worry then for the Red Bull car. Then he is really having a few issues out there. Maybe it's the tyre life. Potentially it could be the tyre life, but it's only 14 laps on those hard combine tyres then for the Red Bull. Then it's not too much of a difference then between MHD Nick and Mumford. But yes, I'm not quite sure what Plotters is up to here. He's having a few issues out there, and here comes MHD Nick then trying to line up a move for P2 on the track, then in towards turn 11. Oh my goodness me, he locked up. I thought he was going to go straight into the Red Bull, but he hasn't, thankfully. And blimey, that was well saved indeed. And he stays P3 as well somehow. Mumford couldn't get himself through then as Ultimate Beast. Then we saw a bit of a tyre smoke there. I thought it was just tyre smoke that was left then from the Mercedes flying through then, as here comes MHD Nick then trying to line up a move then once again then into the final turn. Then who's going to be, there's a bit of DRS chicken going on here I think as well as we go into the final turn. There's still 5 laps to go, guys. Don't have to do it right now. As here we go then on to the main straight then to start off lap 25. Here comes Mumford then on the charge. Mumford on the charge. Look at Mumford go then. Oh my goodness me, camera angles all over the place then. Here comes Mumford, then he's on the charge, then he's up into P2. Is the Alpine. Great stuff indeed then for Mumford. He's flying now in the Alpine as well then. Great stuff indeed then. These two who were squabbling over DRS then, Mumford was having none of it. He was flying through and taking that P2 position away from both of them as well then. Great stuff indeed then from Mumford. Really well done, really well calculated then from the Alpine and now up into P2. Then can he get himself away then from the Red Bull and from the Haas as well? Then we'll have to wait and see. R2B is back in this. Oh my goodness me, I thought Jay Hings was going to go right to the back of the Ferrari then, but R2B is back in the Aston Martin sandwich, I was about to say. Nameless then is still ahead of this train, but they're still queuing up behind him, trying to get that P5 position away from him as well as it stands. Barbara suffering because no DRS then, says Serious Mushroom. Then yeah, he's got 6 seconds then to Riyadh. Then of course he needs to get himself within 3 seconds to gain that P9 position away from the Red Bull car, because of course the penalty situation then is not in Riyadh's favour, but those soft compound tyres will start to drop off very soon. I think we'll have to wait and see which is the best strategy. Then there is your driver of the day vote as well. Then there is your position changes then for the race so far, as we go on to lap 26 very shortly as well here. Ultimate Beast is one of your candidates, then R2B, Plotters and Mumford for driver of the day then in the comment section. Get your votes in, then of course they will be posted in the Discord and on the socials then tonight after the race has finished. But of course we've got a few laps to go still, so maybe hold your vote till the very end. We'll have to wait and see. Then here comes Plotters then on the attack then on Mumford. Can he get himself back into P2 then down the inside of turn 1 then? Yes he can, he's gone for the inside, he's got the move. And up into P2, back up into P2 I should say then. Now Mumford has to slot in behind then. Can he get himself back on the attack then for the Alpine? He's got some DRS to play with though. And he is back up into P2 here as well then. Can he hold it round the outside this time? Yes he can. And the Alpine back up into P2. These two carrying on then. Nameless has lost out to Kian now. And Jay Hings has got himself ahead of R2B as well. Then Jay Hings there has lost out of the DRS then to the top two. Two ahead of him I should say then, of Nameless and Kian. But he has got himself up into P7 ahead of the Ferrari of R2B. Then Kamara Racer picks up a 3-second penalty for his troubles as well then. Unfortunately not going his way today for Kamara Racer. Then Kiki and Potstuff battling away then through turns 2 and 3 now, and Kiki then on the charge then. Can he get himself back up into P12 then with some DRS then? Mr. Elite, no it's not Kaido, is right behind in P14. Not going to pick up any pieces then if these two drivers come together, but into turn 4 then Kiki has got himself ahead and up into P12. Here comes Riyadh. Now Riyadh is on the attack. There's winning car of Kamara Racer. So I wonder what that car was doing there. Oh dear, Riyadh then almost losing the car. That's going to be very costly indeed. He's going to lose him a bit of time as well, then potentially losing out that 1 second window. That is not where he wants to be. But I think Kamara Racer not keeping him in that queue actually. Yellow flags then for Mr. Elite. Then Mr. Elite's had an issue and he's got himself back underway then, as Mr. Elite then potentially can. Actually, if he pits now, he can go for fastest lap, which would be good time indeed then. Plotters has got himself back up into P2 then ahead of the Alpine of Mumford then in towards turn 1. And once again, these two resuming their battle. Then Potsdam picks up a penalty. Then Kian has got himself back. Nameless has got himself back past Kian. Jay Hings back in DRS range then of these two ahead of him as well, which is good news for Jay Hings then, trying to hold on to the position as well then. Unfortunately, I don't think Kamara has read the rules. He needs to get himself out of the way then. So that is bad news indeed then for Kamara Racer. But as long as he can keep himself in this race, that will be okay I suppose as well then. But he has done a good job of soldiering on in this race, has Kamara. Jay Hings then is trying to hold on then, as Kamara has gone for a spin then at turn 2. And gone for a spin again then, as the Williams car. Unfortunately, it has not been his day at all, which is a big shame indeed. Then yellow flags fluttering then for that Williams car, who is struggling then. But actually, like I said, if he pits now at the end of lap 27, then he's got himself a 1-out lap and then a flying lap to try and go for that fastest lap point then. Out in front, the gap now 6 seconds. Beast has literally pulled away a massive gap then after the battling between Plotters and the Mercedes driver then for the first half of the race. He has really just put himself into contention then for a very comfortable second half of the race then, a very comfortable drive, a Monday afternoon, a Monday evening drive, a Monday evening stroll down towards the checkered flag then, as we've got some battling going on here for P2. Here comes MHD Nick, then here comes Mumford then in towards turn 1. Then who's going to go for the move? Who's going to go for the move? It's perhaps down the inside of the Red Bull then into turn 1, and MHD Nick has driven him off the circuit. Right then, yeah, well, that was not very friendly indeed. R2B and Jay Hings then switching places then in towards turn 1. R2B, sorry, over the curbs then, and costing himself a bit of time as well now. I think Jay Hings is going to fight back here down towards turn 4. He's all over the back of the Ferrari then in towards turn 4. Which way is he going to go is the question then. Not quite decisive enough then, as we go in towards turn 4 then. Good stuff indeed then. Like I was saying, I'm not quite sure what's happening between MHD Nick and Plotters there. but the Haas then just forcing him off the circuit then potentially could be looked at then after the race. They will have to wait and see, but of course the penalty situation for MHD Nick then will come back in Plotter's favour as well then. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what was going on there, but there we are then. Vessier is in pit lane. Vessier is very smart here. He's going for the fastest lap point, I think, onto the soft compound tyres then for the Ferrari. Potentially, of course, not in the top 10, so he wasn't going to score any points there anyway, so potentially can get himself an extra point then for himself and the team if he can get himself that fastest lap here onto lap 29 then. Ultimate Beast then is coming round the final corner then to start off the final lap here of the Bahrain Grand Prix, the opener then for Silver Season 8 then. It's been a fantastic race. It's been chaos at some times as well, but it's been entertaining for sure. So there we go. Here comes Mumford then on the charge, looking to get himself up into P2, is he? And ahead now of the Haas of MHD then into turn 1 we go then. He has got himself ahead then into turn 1, and now can he get himself ahead? Can he keep himself ahead then into turn 4 is the question. Then he's trying to get himself through turn 2 and 3 is the first problem, as here comes MHD next on the power then trying to get himself into P, back up into P2 but not quite. Riyadh has picked up a 3-second battle. Unfortunately for Riyadh, that's going to be costly indeed, because Favre is only half a second away from stealing that P9 away from the Red Bull driver as we go through into the final lap of the race, final lap of the season opener here for Silver. And blimey, it's been an absolute cracker, hasn't it? Well, I've found it enjoyable. I'm sweating through my t-shirt as well then, so you don't want to see that. I'm not going to be putting the camera on then for the interviews. You'll just have to deal with no screens, as Potstuff has had an issue again. Potstuff has no issue again then. He's off the circuit at turn 3 then. He's trying to get himself back on then and back underway then. Vessier is all over the back of Mr. Elite then as he starts off his lap 29 then. Vessier then with some DRS then in towards turn 1. It's going to be very handy if he's going to go for the fastest lap point. But here is the race leader, the pole sitter, and here is the Mercedes driver then of Ultimate Beast. He's a fan favourite already then for the championship then in Silver Season 8 I should say, but it's still a long way to go then. But Beast claims the win then. The opening race of the season has been won by Ultimate Beast then. The Mercedes driver takes the crown in Bahrain. A fantastic race indeed then to open off this season, open off season 8 as well then. Mercedes going to be very happy with him indeed, as he takes P1, he takes pole position, he takes the race win here in Bahrain. Fantastic stuff then from the Mercedes then. Fantastic stuff indeed from Beast as well then. Mumford, a fantastic P2. He battled them with Plotters, he battled them with MHD all the way then in that final stint, and he got himself onto the second spot of the podium. Fantastic race indeed then from Mumford in the Alpine, and very good stuff indeed, very well raced indeed then from Mumford too. And Plotters then P3 in the end. Of course, a fantastic race. Of course, battled with Ultimate Beast for the first stint, the first half of the race, I should say. Very well indeed. Then Jay Higgs has retired and left the session, so I'm not quite sure where he finished. But there we go then. I think he was in the points. I'm not quite sure. But there we are then. As we've got another problem then, I think, for Mr. Elite, who's decided to stop on track as well. Then Mr. Elite is not having a great time then in this race either as well. Kamara Racer then does finish the race then in P17. Well done to Kamara then for soldiering on in that one as well. Then Ultra Beast then P1. What a win then for the Mercedes driver as well. Then unfortunately for Kiki, he looked like he was going to be in a strong place then in this race, but he had lost out then in the end as well with that spin. But there we go then, Mr. Elite then coming around the final corner then to finish off the Bahrain Grand Prix. But goodness me, what a race it has been then. 29 laps of action then from Silver Season 8. Brilliant stuff indeed. And there is your driver today. Paul Mumford takes the ticket then in the Alpine. And that is that then for the opening race of the season. Then we'll get ourselves, we'll get ourselves a quick run through then of the classification. And then we'll get ourselves some interviews underway as well then. My God, I am sweaty. Can't imagine what the drivers are like. Then there is your podium sitters then. There is Ultimate Beast on the top step. There is Mumford in P2. And there is Plotters then P3 as well. Fantastic stuff indeed from those three. A really well fought race then from those three. And well strategized. Well thought out over the race course, I suppose you could say, because it's quite a long race indeed. And there's quite a lot of adaptability you have to do on the fly as well then. Great stuff indeed then. Brilliant. Well, fantastic. There is your podium celebrations going on there. We'll have a quick look at the classification before we get ourselves on to the race interviews as well. Then there is the classification. Then the top 10: Beast, Mumford, Plotters, MHD, Nameless, Kian, R2Beat, Farf, Riyadh, and the Sweet MGP. Then great stuff indeed. Then from those top 10, all in the points pen positions. Kaidel just losing out then in P11, Kiki P12, Potstaff P13, Vessia P14, Mr. Elite P15, Jay Hings P16. I think he was further up. I'm not quite sure where he was. Kamara P17, Kia P18, Reflection P19, and Nigel P20. Those last three retired from the Grand Prix earlier on in this race. Right then, we've got some drivers then to interview as well. Then I'm gonna fall over. I think in this race, I'm a bit dizzy already. But I'm not quite sure. Hopefully you can hear me. Then, Ultimate Beast, if you are here, please raise your voice and say hello.
Hello.
Ultimate Beast is with us then. So we've got a pole position then and a race win under your belt then in the opening race of season 8. Then how are you feeling after that one? And what are your thoughts then for the rest of the season as well?
Exactly words what I put in the group chat. Just wow. Just I don't know how I did that, to be honest. I knew I was pretty good in qualifying in practice, but I weren't too sure about race pace because that was my first 50% race on the game. So I had no idea on strategy, no idea on pace. But I guess it looked good.
Well, it definitely was pretty good from our point of view in the commentary box. Then you literally you had a great battle indeed then with your rivals then on the podium as well. But in the end, then you looked like you were cruising away on a nice Monday evening drive. Then what was your thoughts then in the second stint?
Second stint, well, I was still pushing pretty much flat out until the last 5 laps. But it was just full push because you never know, any mistake you lose it. So
well, you did a fantastic job indeed, and it was brilliant stuff indeed then to see you take the first race win as well. Like I was saying, do you think you can carry this form on then? Is it going to be another repeat then in Saudi Arabia next week?
Well, I definitely prefer Bahrain than Saudi. But I'll give it all my
Good stuff indeed, and fantastic stuff then from Ultimate Beast and the race winner, the first race winner then of Silver Season 8. Really good stuff from the Mercedes driver, I should say. Mumford P2 in the Alpine. Then you had another one of your classic races from last season. It was a carbon copy. Then you snuck up there and did a fantastic job indeed to get yourself on the podium. What are your thoughts then after that race?
Yeah, feeling good. I think the pace was always going to be there. It was just about where I started. I think qualifying was a little bit tough. I think I definitely could have found 3 or 4 tenths, but yeah, I think could have won the race today. I think the undercut was mental on them hards. They didn't really weigh, so I think that let Ultimate Beast get away, and then it was just about fighting for P2, which thankfully managed to be at the front on the last lap, and then just put in 2 hot lap, and then just went as quick as I can.
And well, you had a bit of a battle as well then between yourself, Plotters, and MHD in the end there. Of course, you saw that MHD had a penalty then, but were you wary then? Did you think that P2 might slip away then towards the end of that race, or were you comfortable with your ERS and everything in your hands?
Not really. Plotters and MHD were fighting quite a lot, and I was just sitting behind. I had 100% DRS with 2 laps to go, so not really, no.
Well, a fantastic P2 indeed then for Alpine, and of course me being in the Alpine in gold, I'm going to have to support you then for constructors because I'm not going to score any points. So well done indeed. Thank you very much indeed as well then for the joint constructors, and congratulations then to Mumford then P2 in the opening race of the season for Alpine. On to P3 then. Plotters then is our final podium place then, but last but not least then a fantastic race from yourself. Then you were holding the fight then from most of the drivers then to Ultimate Beast in the first half of the race then. And did you think you could get yourself ahead? Could you get yourself in the race lead and take the win potentially?
Well, I mean, for the first stint, I think I was pretty obvious early on that Ultimate had some sort of unbelievable pace. So for the majority of the first stint, I just wanted to stay in his DRS, save my ERS, and just sort of manage. And then obviously at the start of the second stint, I think it was Farth who'd stayed out on the hards, and Ultimate managed to get past him pretty quickly, whereas I was held up a bit, and that sort of, allowed Ultimate to get away. And like I said, he was super quick, and I just sort of ended up falling back towards MHD and Mumford. But yeah, no, as it turned out, I mean, can't complain with a podium in first race of the season, so super happy.
Yeah, exactly. And your first full-time appearance in Silver, and it looked like it's going to be a good first full-time season in Silver based on that appearance as well. So I don't think you've got anything to worry about. Then you'll be challenging up there. It looks like then for the rest of the season, hopefully. But what's your thoughts then on Saudi Arabia then next week then for the next race, the next test then of season 8?
Not one of my favourite tracks. I think it's obviously, very easy to make a mistake and sort of find yourself in the wall. So I think it's going to be as much about sort of just keeping concentrated as it is how much pace you've actually got. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Good stuff indeed, and congratulations then as well to our final podium sitter then of plotters then in the Red Bull in P3. That's it for Silver. The final first race of the season, I should say, is done and dusted. We'll be back in a week's time then in Saudi Arabia then for round 2 of season 8 as well. Then Bronze tomorrow night then kicks off their season here in Bahrain as well. Then Sean, or Ginger Rage I should say, is going to be taking you through that one. That's going to be exciting stuff indeed then. And of course, in a week's time then we're going to be having all 4 divisions on the go with the 100% League kicking off next Wednesday, not in 2 days time, then in a week's time after that as well then. So looking forward to seeing that. So take to the track then, take us to Australia then for the first race of the season in that one. But we'll be back then for plenty more ALR action very soon indeed then. So stay tuned and we'll see you soon.